Hi, this is Mark Von Drasek, and I'm a physics teacher at Evanston Township High School, just north of Chicago. And this is video number 6 in our series on SEL in schools. As more and more school districts around the country are getting into SEL and seeing the really important applications of SEL that we have to teach our kids and help them apply in their lives. This one's going to focus on social awareness. So this is basically defined as the ability to take the perspective of and empathize with others, including those from diverse backgrounds and cultures. The ability to understand social and ethical norms for behavior and to recognize family, school, and community resources and supports. So the previous two videos focused on the self, self-awareness, self-management. Every individual, ourselves included, need to understand ourselves and our own behaviors in order to really start to focus on how our interactions with other people, our relationship building, things like that, start to develop. So some of the skills associated with social awareness are perspective taking, empathy, and then having respect for multiple and intersecting identities, both for yourself and for others. So perspective taking is the ability to look beyond your own point of view and to start considering how other people think about things. This is a little bit different from empathy. This is the more intellectual way of understanding where someone else is coming from and why they take the views and have the understandings and beliefs and goals and things like that for themselves. So let's say, from my own experience as a science teacher, a lot of students are interested in conspiracy theories and whether they believe in those or not, or wonder why others might fall into that trap. My favorite example is, again in science, is the flat earthers. Trying to think about how somebody comes to that conclusion. Whereas, how can they, rather than just write them off as being nuts, why do they take that view despite the overwhelming evidence, physical evidence, that the earth in fact is round? It's that thinking through. It's not making the emotional connection, but trying to understand intellectually and kind of probe and talk with people to understand where they're coming from. For us adults, maybe we sit on different committees within our schools and districts, and maybe, in a certain committee, half the people agree with a new proposed tardy or clothing policy for students, while others don't. There could be a whole spectrum of perspectives, of understandings or of beliefs in that particular idea or concept. And so perspective taking allows us to actually talk with each other civilly and try and debate, try to reach a consensus on something. Now, empathy is also trying to understand where somebody else is coming from, but from the emotional perspective. Trying to understand people's thoughts and feelings about a situation and trying to put yourselves in their shoes, so to speak, rather than your own, and really connect emotionally with them. So this is where and why, if you are talking with someone, a friend or a colleague, and they're telling you about a really heartbreaking experience that they just had, and you literally feel their pain, and you might actually cry with them or laugh hysterically with them if it's on the other side of the spectrum. Or this is why, if you're even by yourself, if you're watching a movie or if you're watching the news and someone is really heroic, saving others' lives, you have an emotional, you have a physical response to that. Your heart beats faster, you might breathe heavier, you feel elated. This is where you're putting yourselves in other people's shoes and really understanding them emotionally. And this, by the way, empathy is probably the one SEL skill that most teachers understand and work with their students in the classroom. The remaining skill that we're talking about right now for social awareness is the respect for multiple and intersecting identities. Now, just identity itself, obviously in 2023, this is a big deal. There's a wide spectrum of beliefs on things like transgender people, gay people, different religions, different cultures and cultural beliefs. All of this is part of the so-called culture wars. So identity is terribly important right now, and it refers to our sense of who we are as an individual. That could include multiple and intersecting identities, as well as being members of social groups, being part of society. Part of this also goes with our sense of how others may perceive and label us. So again, this is terribly important, especially for our students who don't have that long-term experience with this, and maybe feel that they're being under attack from society as a whole. So individually, we all have different identities. We have almost like different personalities. Often it depends on the environment that we're in. Think about yourself. How are you at home? How do you think of yourself, and how do others perceive you if you're at work, at school? If you're in different community groups outside of work or the home, if you're with friends versus family, public events, and all the other things that come into our identities, all the different aspects of life, of being human, race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, those are the big ones that are being discussed out in society right now. One's politics, as we have a divided country politically, the level of education that you have, which leads to the type of job and income levels that you have, being introvert versus extrovert, your nationality, languages, cultural backgrounds, etc. We have complex, unique lives. This is why SEL and the skills involved with it are so important for all of us, including our students, to understand and be able to deal with. So think about, how can we work with our kids? How can we work with each other such that everyone feels a sense of belonging? How can we develop these skills in order for us to adapt to any environment and situation and deal with it as positively as we can? Now, if we practice and learn these in the school, now we're thinking about our students, does it carry over when they leave the building and you're out in the world? Do we deal with life in a positive manner? Can we help our kids lead their lives and deal with all the complexities of life that they deal with on a daily basis in a positive manner? So this is where SEL comes in. This is where those social awareness skills really become important. And we practice these, and we need these every day of our lives. So how are we helping our kids develop them and learn them and apply them to their lives?